As we Jews think about our relationship to the Promised Land, it goes all the way back to Abraham in the earliest parts of Genesis. And what we really see in our relationship to the Promised Land is this notion of covenant, an agreement, a mutual understanding between God and the people who will ultimately be called the Jewish people. And it really began with God's message to Abraham. Go forth from the land that you know, leave everything behind you, and I will take you to this new place, and there your name shall be made great. And that is really the beginning of that covenant that Abraham and God strike with each other. Now, as we begin to unpack, we come to see that God offers Abraham really two of the things that Abraham wanted the most in life. And all of them, or those two things, really fall under the category of security. Abraham was looking for land in which he can feel at peace, and Abraham was looking for children that his legacy could continue after him. Now, it's not clear in those early chapters of Genesis why God chose Abraham, until eventually we see that God chose Abraham because he was a man of compassion and justice. And so what we come to understand in our relationship to the Promised Land is that God expects us to build a society rooted in compassion and justice. And in return, we're asking God to grant us security. We're looking for life. We're looking for peace. We're looking for legacy. We're looking for our ability to serve God from generation to generation. And that is really the beginning of our relationship to the Promised Land, right there in the earliest covenant that God strikes with Abraham. What we come to see then is that the covenant continues from Abraham through Isaac, and then from Isaac through Jacob. And of course, the children of Jacob, when he is renamed Israel, become the children of Israel. Eventually, we become the people of Israel only in the times of Pharaoh. And that is the first time that we're actually referred to the nation of Israel is there in exile, when under oppression, when under stress, when under slavery. We come together not just as a family, but as a nation, looking to build a society rooted in compassion and justice, looking to build a society in which we can fully serve God. And of course, our dream, our hope continues to be a free people in our own land in which we can raise our children freely and safely. And so that ultimately results in the journey from Egypt back to the Promised Land. And during that time, of course, God gives us, as we understand, the 5 books of Moses, what we call the Torah, so that we can better understand what God wants from us, so that we can better create a society rooted in both compassion and justice. This has been the Jewish call for the last nearly 4,000 years, to uphold that covenant rooted in compassion and justice, rooted in this idea that we will have land and security. And as we've seen over the last 2,000 years especially, this has been a desire for us to be back in our homeland where we can truly build that kind of society we want. Now, certainly there's been a Jewish presence there for the last 4,000 years, but really only in the last century have we been able to allow the land to flourish with compassion and with justice.